Everything has gone completely wrong for Putin. Even his closest inner circle started being extremely skeptical about him. There are some cases of a betrayal of Putin, and those people from his surrounding who think that they still have a future and they want to protect it, they started to ask for security guarantees. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's get straight to the point and talk about why everything has gone completely wrong for Mr. Putin. So, if you remember, the objectives of Russia in this war since the very beginning were to capture Kiev in 3 days, not let NATO expand, destroy the energy infrastructure of Ukraine before winter, then something like capturing Donbass, the entire Donbass before the end of 2022. And then it even became so small as just capturing one single Bakhmut before May 9th. So can Putin announce at least some kind of victory to its people? And nothing of this happened. But instead, these were the Ukrainians who were able to destroy the stereotype that Russia has the second biggest army in the world. Ukrainians were the ones who stopped the invasion and they were completely able to turn it around, eliminating 200,000 Russian soldiers and a lot of Russian military equipment. NATO was also able to expand its territories and get closer to the borders with Russia whenever Finland joined the alliance. Then Ukrainians were able to liberate very big territories of Kharkiv and Kherson regions in just a couple of weeks of counteroffensive. And ultimately, right now, just in general, for the Russian army, it does not feel like at all that even the smallest military objective is possible. And as a result of all this, Putin, who is pretty unaccustomed to losing, who did not get used to hearing no, and who is used to pretty much all of his wishes coming true, he is now becoming more and more isolated, including by the people from his most inner circle. He pretty much does not know what to do, he is losing friends rapidly, and the only remaining friends who he has left is someone like President of Belarus Alexander Lukashenko. Because Putin needs him, because exactly from the territory of Belarus is where Russia launches a lot of its attacks against Ukraine. The Russian elite, along with the highest military representatives of the Russian army, they are completely clueless what's going to happen in the near future and what is pretty much in general the future of Russia. The Putin started this whole thing and it is them who are bearing the responsibilities right now. And pretty much yes, not a single thing right now goes in accordance with the Putin's plan. He simply does not even know anymore how to stop this mess he himself created. There is simply no way out of this which will allow Putin to save his face. I mean, if he decides to push even harder and completely destroy Ukraine, then it will be actually Western countries joining the war and showing even more active support to this country, which will completely crush Russia. But if Putin decides to give up and surrender, then it is the regular people inside the country who will not understand him, who will consider him as a weak leader, and then his surrounding will take him out. In this case, it will be relatively interesting to see which path Putin chooses, which leads to his inevitable demise. And so if you don't want to miss it, can you please like this video and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram and see how I live outside of YouTube. The link will be down below. And so yes, I mean, it is not going to be a surprise that sooner or later the people from the closest inner circle of Putin will start betraying him. And to be honest, if you think about it, you know what, it actually started happening. Some people from the closest surrounding of Putin, they already started distancing themselves from him. Previously we were always seeing Putin with Peskov, Shoigu, Lavrov, Medvedev and so on. And what about now? We probably seen Putin with Lukashenko and Shoigu maybe like once, and then he met with the representatives of these temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine, with these Russian infiltrators, also only once. And that's pretty much it. Every single time Putin makes a public appearance, he is one and only surrounded by a big chunk of his bodyguards. Because Putin does not want to be anywhere close to them. He knows they are pissed. And these people, they at the same time, they do not want anymore to touch Putin even with the 10-foot pole. For example, the Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Lavrov, who was very active in the beginning of this war, just think about it. When was the last time you heard any major statements from him? I do remember, and one of such statements that he said is that Russia is very interested in ending this war as soon as possible, which is the direct contradiction to the Putin's opinions. Or, for example, notorious Yevgeny Prigozhin, the leader of Wagner, who recently said that he is not included in Putin's inner circle. Just think about it, what does it mean? That's right, he's trying to distance himself as much as possible from Putin by saying that I don't have anything to do with this guy. I was maybe just a cook for him once, but we are on our own different paths. And as a result of all this, according to the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, the inner circle of Putin is already actively looking for his replacement. Putin obviously does not have a say in this, and so still this information might be still highly skeptical, so just take it with a grain of salt. And these people, they know that eventually this war will be over, Putin will be gone, and they still want to keep the relations with the rest of the civilized world. And so no wonder so many of them are trying to get these so-called security guarantees for themselves. Once again, according to the representative by the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, Andrei Yusov, a lot of Russian elite are constantly contacting Ukrainian authorities and trying to get these so-called above-mentioned security guarantees, because once again they understand eventually all of this will be over and they want to save their reputation. And it's not just Ukraine, Putin's closest surrounding also trying to contact different countries, primarily in the West, which is theoretically they're supposed to hate. And obviously they will never receive these security guarantees for free. That is why most likely that the price that they have to pay will be the information. Information on Putin, information on Russian forces and their future plans. Because, I mean, who else other than Putin's inner circle will have access to such information, which potentially answers the question why Russia is doing so bad in this war. Just how is it possible that the biggest country in the world, the population of 150 million people, and allegedly the second biggest army in the world, is losing in this war with such humiliation? As you can see, there is a pretty big and reasonable chance that the Western countries, along with Ukraine, they build their military strategies based on this information that is exactly received from Putin's inner circle in exchange for the security guarantees. Because they know that the ship is sinking, and these are usually the rats, which will be the first ones to abandon it. And ultimately, the end of Putin's regime is inevitable, and if you don't want to miss as soon as it starts happening, just please consider subscribing to my channel, it only takes one click. The best way to support my work will be through my Patreon, where I unlock hundreds of uncensored footage every single week. You can also become my channel member, unlock exclusive channel badges and emojis, or simply use a PayPal link. Everything can be found to the right and down below. Thank you so much for attention, товарищи, and see you on Friday.